happy summer. It was the solstice the other day, and in Montreal we are entering a heat wave. I do have air conditioning in my apartment, but it's a window unit. It's far away from my bedroom and my office. And I do have the privilege of living near my childhood home where there's central air. And so I'm fleeing. I'm just gonna run away to the suburbs. I think the idea of this video was going to be summer in Montreal, and then immediately I'm leaving Montreal. It's Greater Montreal. Let's say summer in Greater Montreal. I'm very heat intolerant. Just turning off the fan to film this, I don't love. And yeah, I overheat so quickly. I'm so uncomfortable in anything basically above 24 degrees. And so 34 is asking quite a lot from me. So my plan for today, I'm going to do just a little bit of reading. I want to try to finish the book I'm reading, which is Tipping the Velvet by Sarah Waters. It was her first book. I want to try to read all of Sarah Waters' books this year. I've only read her one straight novel, The Little Stranger, is that what it's called? I just picked up a Sarah Waters book and I started reading it. And then I kind of said, wait, where's the lesbians? I was promised lesbians. But that was the one book that she's written with no lesbians in it. So I need to atone for this sin of mine and read the rest of her books. And I kind of want to do it this year just as a fun kind of little resolution. I have most of them. I have Tipping the Velvet, Fingersmith, and The Paying Guests. And I think there's 2 more. And so I'll try to find those. You can often find them at used bookstores. I think her last book must be over 10 years old now. So Sarah, come back. But yeah, I think all of them, except for the one, are period novels, like these long kind of Dickensian type or mystery novels featuring lesbians. Tipping the Velvet, Sarah Waters' first book, and it's about Nancy, who falls in love with this girl on stage, and she gets swept up into this world of theater and really gets into cross-dressing. Yeah, I'm very much enjoying it so far. So I'm gonna spend a couple of hours reading probably. Next up, I think I might read a lote. I might bring this home if I'm able to finish Tipping the Velvet. This is the Canadian edition. I think it was first published in the UK. It was published by Metonymy Press that are based in Montreal. And I think they're celebrating their 10th anniversary tonight, actually. So that's kind of cute. That wasn't really intentional that I would start reading this on their 10th anniversary. Shola von Reinhold's lavish debut novel lays bare, through ornate layered prose, the gaps and fault lines in the archive. Through obsessive research on an overlooked Black modernist poet, the narrator buckles under the vacuousness of the art world and also curates a queer historical scene, breaking it open and reveling in it. But yeah, we've got some pages that look like that. And then, regular novel. And I thought I saw some poetry in here too. And then I'm gonna go catch a matinee of Materialists. I really wanted to see it ever since I first saw the trailer, and I'm seeing kind of mixed reviews about it, but I recently watched Past Lives by Celine and thought it was lovely. So I look forward to seeing this one. And yeah, I mostly just want to hide in the air conditioning. So I'm gonna go to the movies and then head out to the suburbs after that. as you can see, I'm back in town. I spent a couple of days at the house just hiding from the heat wave. It's still hot, but it's, you know, manageable. So I'm heading to my friend's book launch. My friend Adam wrote a poetry book. I've read it already, loved it. We're hearing a few other poets read as well as Adam. So it's at an art gallery that I've not been to before. Glad to explore, but it is warm. It was a combination of like heat, sun, not sleeping well the night before, but yeah, I just crashed once I got home from the launch. But it was such a lovely time. So I'm heading to Le Plongeoir in Myles. It's a bar, and they're actually having a pop-up for Saint-Henri bookstore at Le Plongeoir, even though it's in Myles. It's kind of funny. They're gonna have a selection of books curated by Rachel, the manager at Saint-Henri Books. And apparently they have a themed cocktail, like a themed literary cocktail. And allegedly it's themed after David Foster Wallace, which I find very intriguing. After that, I might head to this new bookstore. It's just down the street from Le Plongeoir, and it is called Joie de livres. So instead of joie de vivre in French, it's joie de livres. And so it's, instead of the joy of living, it's the joy of books. So they specialize in genre fiction, I guess. So sci-fi, fantasy, romance. And also they're a bar and also a restaurant. And they're open until midnight on like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I think. And then open until like something like 9 p.m. the other days. Hi, I'm very curious about you. A little haul from the day's adventures. We'll start with, oh, I didn't realize the spines were kind of matching. We've got the black on white vibe going on with the books that I got from the Saint-Henri Books pop-up at Le Plongeoir. Just everyone's so sweet there, and they've got just a fantastic vibe. And the bookbar pop-up, I think, is a great occasional addition to any bar really, but especially to this one. They had a little corner of the actual bar where there were a selection of books, and I asked how they chose which books to showcase there, and the answer was really just the books that they felt represented themselves, the two who were working there, and also the bookstore. And I think they were right. I mean, the books that they had there I felt were a very specific curation, kind of the more artsy, literary, essay, autofiction. I find that when I go to Saint-Henri Books, that is kind of what I go there expecting. Something that I kind of had at the back of my mind and hadn't realized I was looking for, but then it was there. Because there are, obviously, bookstores in the area, but they brought ones that made themselves special. They had the new Paris Review, short stories, poems, more visual pieces. Yeah, great kind of what's new in art, and I'm trying to keep up with what is new. And I mean, I like the cover. And sometimes that does it. Because you can get the Paris Review through Libby. You can get a digital version through your Libby app. And so I often read it there, and I kind of pick and choose which ones I'll get the print copy of. And so this one I found particularly attractive. I also got Chelsea Girls by Myles. This was a recommendation I asked of Eva and Rachel because I'm going to New York soon. I'm going to Brooklyn for a few days, and I asked what book I should read while I'm there because I like to choose different reads based on occasion or season or theme. I was thinking of bringing my copy of Just Kids by Patti Smith because I've not read it yet. And it's set in Brooklyn during the summer, and it's a memoir, if you don't know, about Patti Smith and her relationship with Mapplethorpe. But I think it's just a little too on the nose in the sense that if I'm a tourist in New York City, in Brooklyn, reading Just Kids at a cafe, I feel like that's so on the nose. I will be a mark for some kind of scam or robbery. But I asked, what should I bring? What of this curated selection would you recommend? And they recommended Chelsea Girls by Myles. It's about their upbringing as a Catholic in the 1960s, their unabashed lesbianity, and just living in New York in the 70s, and alcohol and drugs and sex and all of that. And so I feel like this is one that will have the atmosphere and the vibes that I'm looking for. But if I'm reading it at a cafe, which I plan to be doing a lot of, I won't be targeted as a pretentious tourist, which I am. And then I went down the street and I went to Joie de Livres. I feel like it's a good place where you could spend a few hours. And they also have outdoor seating. They are still figuring out everything. It's only been 2 weeks that they've been open, but I don't know, I wouldn't have clocked them as having been open for only 2 weeks. They seem to be running pretty smoothly. And so I really enjoyed it. I look forward to going back and exploring a little bit more with my more genre savvy friends. Picked up Frankenstein in Baghdad by Ahmed Saadawi, and I've been meaning to get this for a while now. I collect Frankenstein kind of things. I read Frankenstein by Jeanette Winterson recently, and this has been one of those books that is like a runner-up when I go to a bookstore and I'm figuring out what to get. This is always like on the short list. And I was looking around here and I thought, okay, it's time, I need to get it. From the rubble-strewn streets of US-occupied Baghdad, Hadi, a scavenger and an oddball fixture at a local cafe, collects human body parts and stitches them together to create a corpse. His goal, he claims, is for the government to recognize the parts as people and to give them proper burial. But when the corpse goes missing, a wave of eerie murders sweeps the city. Hadi soon realizes he's created a monster, one that needs human flesh to survive, first from the guilty and then from anyone in its path. With white-knuckle horror and black humor, Frankenstein in Baghdad captures the surreal reality of contemporary Iraq. Okay. Oh. My writing books have fallen over. Oh yeah, I was reorganizing my bookmarks. And this is the container that holds my bookmarks, and it goes up there. That's fine. I have so many bookmarks. This is what I've kept. Anyway, I'm trying to convince myself to go back outside today. I did go out earlier and just kind of biked around a little bit, saw some friends. I don't have the balance to bike and film, so I didn't show you, but I did go outside, but I was hoping I could sit in the park and read, and it looks like it's just a little wet for that. I could bring a picnic blanket, but it'll just be buggy. I think I might go to the thrift mall. I love the thrift mall. They recently rebranded. They're now Notre du Vintage. They used to be actually underground. And they also have a lot of new vendors. I think more antiques actually than they used to. But yeah, there's always something really weird there. I love just going there by myself, and there's some rooms where I know I won't find much. I'll just do like a quick glance, and then there's some rooms where I'll go like shelf by shelf every single time. So yeah, that's one of my regular haunts, and I think I should be able to catch the pre-dinner crowd at the wine bar. And if I can sit outside, great. But the inside is also lovely. And I'm going to bring my journal and do some journaling probably instead of reading. I really need to get back to journaling. I feel like I'm too clogged up with thoughts up here. And in Materialists, to go to Johnson's journal is this journal in this exact color. I think the humidity is just making me really tired. I took a big long nap and really had to drag myself out of bed. I don't want to nap away the whole day. So yeah, I think I'll get out, do some thrifting, get a snack and a drink, and then come back here and make dinner and read a lot of my book. A twig in my hair. So at the thrift mall, it was toasty in there, but I did get a new ritual candle and some frames. I got this awesome basket for my sewing supplies. I was not anticipating getting a really fun basket, but why not? So yeah, that's my thrift shop haul. Okay, we have dinner. Salmon, potatoes, side salad. She's cute. I wanted to mention that I finished reading Tipping the Velvet, and I loved it actually. I say actually because I wasn't sure in the first half if I was going to love it, because it's you can kind of tell that it's her first book, but I really like where we go at the end. Where she ends up, I really enjoyed. And then I read the afterword by the author, because this is the 20th anniversary edition. It's got these really cute end papers, and it has an afterword by Sarah Waters reflecting on like 20 years after her debut novel. And she kind of says like, I cringe a little bit at this book, like it's not my best work. I do love it, but if I were to rewrite it now, these are the things that I might change. And I appreciate the kind of boldness of doing that, of kind of saying like, I would have done this differently if I wrote it now. I do appreciate it, because like there were some parts where she was like, yeah, that part was maybe a little problematic, or I would have done more with that character. I should have given them more. I was kind of shocked. She said like, oh, I wish I would have had someone knock the main character down a peg, which I found really funny because I found myself kind of a little annoyed by the main character at many times. I figured it was kind of part of the story, like you're meant to kind of be annoyed by her, but I appreciate that the author was like, someone should have knocked her down just a little bit more, kind of called her a little bit more out on her selfishness. But yeah, it's really fun. I really like her perspective looking back at the book and about how, you know, it's changed some people's lives. And yeah, I'm looking forward to reading her next books. I don't think I'm going to read them in order. I might just read the ones that I have. And I'm feeling good about my resolution of reading all of Sarah Waters' novels in 2025. I think I can do it because this read very quickly despite it being kind of a thickie. I thought it was pretty solid. I can see how this kind of launched her into her career. I'm so rarely in Chinatown these days, but my friends Anna and Holly and I are going to the Jazz Fest, and we thought we'd get dinner and drinks in Chinatown first. So we're meeting at Poincaré. We're seeing Men I Trust, which is a really fun, they're originally from Montreal actually. They're kind of like pop, jazz, indie vibes. So we all like them, and we're all gonna go see them on the outdoor stage.